Hello and welcome to another episode of Pause for Payments. I am Kristy Duncan, and I am delighted to have with me a fantastic guest from American Express, Jill Zucker, who's Chief Credit Officer, International Commercial Risk at Amex based in London. Welcome, Jill.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Me too. So we started talking earlier about your career at Amex and all the amazing things that you do, but also that Amex does. Can you just set the stage for us and tell us a little bit about your career journey and how did you end up in this really fantastic role?
Yeah. So I have been with American Express for 25 years, which feels and is a lifetime. And I've really started my career in risk management, and I worked my way up from a very junior analyst at American Express, focused on mostly initially on our consumer business. I was based in the US up until about 2.5 years ago, which I relocated to London. So worked in a number of different roles, really within the consumer organization, within our commercial organization, really focused on risk management, data analytics. And as I mentioned, 2.5 years ago, I made the move to London, where I sit now. I'm responsible for commercial risk management across all of our international markets.
So interesting. And do you have a STEM background? Is that how you got into this data?
I do. I have a master's in statistics, and I've always been interested in data and analytics. I did not think that my career would wind up in risk management. I actually was really interested in marketing early on, but I also had this natural ability with numbers and data. And I found myself in Amex initially in a marketing type of role, marketing analytics, quickly met some people within risk management. I found the risk management is like the heart of a credit card company. And pretty quickly, I really got very excited about everything that you can do with data and analytics, everything from credit risk to fraud and everything in between marketing. So that's how I wound up there.
Fantastic. Well, that's a great segue into where we want to talk today about your data analytics and how you're getting into AI-powered underwriting to improve a process that has been traditionally really manual. But ultimately, I think we all have the same objectives: to improve client service, to generate quick decisions, to improve your portfolio quality, and of course, to reduce risk. Can you tell us about Amex's AI-powered journey and your card underwriting process and how you're dovetailing those two to bring all these fantastic improvements?
Yeah, absolutely. So our journey started probably in 2010, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But first, I'll just talk a little bit about how Amex uses sort of AI and machine learning to really power our underwriting processes. Say when I think about the commercial space and underwriting a business, there's really 3 areas where I'd say AI and machine learning adds a tremendous amount of value for the customer. One is really data, and it's really how we source and process our data. And we've made a tremendous number of investments in this space to really automate the processes over the years. I say the second thing is really data science, and this is where our in-house commercial risk experts come into play, right? We have applied AI to synthesize those meaningful and make meaningful inferences from the data that we collate about our customers. And then there's the investments that we've made around the real-time decision-making engine and bringing that all together. And this is where we design these sort of end-to-end processes. And I'd say it's been particularly relevant for in the commercial card space, which you had said is typically very manual. It could take a business anywhere from 2 weeks to months to actually get a decision. And I'd say particularly in the time of COVID, where customers needed access quickly, we were really able to meet the needs of our customers by providing really quick decisions. And I'd say Amex, I believe, really is at the forefront here, particularly in the commercial space, which is really setting an example for other organizations to automate the processes, really to benefit small businesses. And then
That's fantastic.
yeah, and just going back to our journey, I would say really early, Amex, in my mind, in the 25 years I've been here, I think we were always sort of a big data company. We're an issuer, we're an acquirer, we're a merchant processor. And so we have all this data out there. And I think Amex leadership really, probably about 10 years ago, identified the need to really invest in sort of the infrastructure and technology to leverage all the data assets that we had, to leverage AI, new machine learning techniques, and sort of bring it all together. So, back in 2010, we started developing the earliest models, and the first application was fraud. I'd say based on that, we saw significant improvements. And today, Amex, really due to those investments, our data science and the talent that we have, we've been able to maintain industry-leading fraud rates.
Fantastic. Well, that certainly impacts the customer in a very positive way. And the whole data story is really interesting. And data science really is transforming the way that we work today, driving efficiencies, improving, customer service, providing better insights. And we know that it can certainly drive the better decision making. Can you tell us a little bit more about the type of data that you're using at Amex to make these underwriting decisions?
Yeah, I'd say we use a wide range of data, and the data includes, typical traditional data like consumer bureau data, commercial data. But when you talk about the commercial space, you have bank data, you have financial statements, and then you also have the internal transaction data. And then I talked about the global presence. You have that closed loop network, which is the issuer, acquirer, and the network. And it's really bringing that data together to make more informed decisions for customers. But I'd say what I really believe is a competitive strength here, and how we it's not just the data itself, which is one piece of it, but it's how we organize that data and really the intelligence that we derive from that data. So that really speaks a lot to the talent, the data scientists that we have, and the talent that's able to take that data and make meaningful inferences and leverage it within our models.
So that's the secret sauce. It's not the data itself, but how you use it.
Yeah, and the people. Can't forget about the talent.
Of course. Well, the talent determines how you use it and dreams up these fantastic ways to use it.
That's right.
That's great,
That's
Jill.
right.
So fabulous. So I want to switch gears here a little bit and talk a little bit about COVID, because we're in the midst of this, gosh darn, it seems never ending pandemic around the world. And it really has fundamentally changed the way that many businesses around the world work and operate, and what their business models look like, and operational models. I know Women in Payments has done this huge pivot from face-to-face to digital in the last year. And it's been, an absolute transformation for so many businesses. Can you share how your machine learning based underwriting may have impacted your overall portfolio, and as well as your ability to extend credit to some of these commercial clients whose businesses have really changed?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say, early on is that as you mentioned, like it's never ending and constantly changing. Say early on in the pandemic, the first thing was really leveraging a lot of our AI and machine learning to identify those customers who were who had the most needs, right? So it was all about identifying those customers which needed our support and helping them and pointing them towards our financial relief program. So there were lots of indicators out there that really helped us understand which businesses were struggling and how to reach out to them. What were the best ways to reach out to them? And again, powered by AI and machine learning is really the best ways to reach out to them and understand what their needs are. And then I think as we moved on to the pandemic and customers started to emerge, it was around how do we support these customers and their spending and borrowing needs as well. So some businesses were struggling and needed financial relief programs, and others needed more access to credit. And I really think during the pandemic, it was all about speed and providing a great customer experience. So the last thing when these customers were sort of reeling from the pandemic was providing tons of documentation that would take weeks and months to provide access, was really about how do we get the information that we need to make the best decision for the customer, and then how do we respond? And so again, all of this powered by AI, using all the data that we had available to us based on what we knew about the customer, all those data sources I talked about, plus whatever else that we can get from the customer. And then being able to synthesize and process that information very quickly, and being able to respond back to the customer with what their needs are. So where that process typically, and many traditional banks could take months, because of the infrastructure and the investments we made, we were able to really respond to our customers from a credit perspective. Yeah.
So that's fantastic. So can you share with us the net impact? So from a customer's perspective, if they used to wait weeks or months for a decision,
Yeah.
what is the benchmark now?
In some cases, it's immediate. In other cases, we've been able to sort of reduce that cycle time by 20 to 30%, which is, significant in the life of a small business, particularly some of those mom and pops out there. But I think the real-time aspect, which is again, the data plus the capabilities, has really been enabled us to transform and really enable provide customers with access to credit.
Fantastic. Well, it's so critical right now in this COVID environment, for sure. And another thing I've seen in the market that I think your colleague Colleen Taylor mentioned in her keynote earlier this year was this whole Shop Small campaign, which I think was absolutely brilliant. And it's great to see the support for these businesses that really need it in this crazy time.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, talking about innovation and doing pivots and doing things differently, digital innovation is receiving a lot of focus these days. Can you talk a little bit about other ways that Amex is using AI in your business?
Yeah, I mean, there's literally almost every customer touch point you can think of, from customer service. And when customers call in, again, being able to proactively leverage information the customer provides us, or what we know about the customer to proactively meet their needs, to really developing products and services that really, synthesizing all that information that we know about the customer to deliver some of the best products to our customers. Also, during the pandemic, needs changed dramatically. So some of the value that we made in terms of what we provided to customers, whether it be through our membership rewards programs or other benefits and services on the card, we were able to identify how customers' behaviors were changing. And so, as we know, people shifted away from travel and more towards digital and online. So how do we think about leveraging those transaction level patterns, leveraging, again, machine learning techniques to identify changing behaviors, and then use that information to develop new products and services that were meeting the needs of our customers today. So it's really an ongoing process that touches every part of the customer, from acquisition, products and services, customer service, through the customer lifecycle into credit and collections, and really identifying what the needs are and synthesizing that information to make the best decision for our customers.
So Jill, you've been using this amazing AI approach to drive a lot of different areas in your business. Can you give us some examples, especially in the last year, of how it's really helped Amex to fine tune and refocus your business a little bit?
Yeah, as we all know, during the pandemic, the travel industry was really impacted in a very significant way. And I think also just a lot of large businesses, employees were no longer traveling. So really also, one of the things that we did is leverage the power of the data as well as machine learning to really understand what the needs of our customers were and how we can work with them to help them identify needs that were different than maybe what they were during the pandemic. And so focusing or shifting some of their card usage away from travel into other needs that they might have had, like online, digital, advertising. Many companies obviously shifted towards that. So we really worked with our customers, identified what their needs are, what their spending needs were, and then figuring out how we can meet their needs from an underwriting perspective to support what their spend and payment needs are. I think the other thing is really on our products, is really figuring out what the new needs were, what sort of value could we give the customers back on our products. So we've really worked, again, leveraging the data to identify what the largest needs were from a customer perspective, and then provided that value back to our customers.
Fantastic. I want to give you a new title, and that is Head of Customer Success. But it's,
Yes.
it's great. Great to be able to use the data to help make those informed decisions.
Yeah, absolutely.
This has been a great discussion, Jill.
Yes.
I'd like to close with a question that I
Sure.
invite all of my guests on Positive Payments to do, and that is to provide some pearls of career wisdom, if you will, for our rising stars in our audience. Are there some little secrets to your success that you could share from your amazing career in the last 25 years?
I think anyone that knows me, is one of the things I would definitely say is to stay true to yourself. So as a female, I think in a STEM field, it's always a little bit difficult to sort of find your space. And I would say, stay true to yourself, believe in yourself, continue to innovate. And I would say the other thing I would say is Amex is hiring, looking for strong female data scientists and analytical talent. But I would say, keep believing in yourself and striving to be the best person that you can be.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing that. And clearly that advice has served you well with your STEM background and your amazing career at Amex. And now you've jumped continents, so you're getting a different perspective as well, which gives you that much more ability to add value and see things from a more global perspective. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
This has been a great discussion, Jill. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, your leadership, your pearls of career wisdom, your amazing perspectives on AI and the changing, credit world that we live in. And hopefully we will all come out of it stronger. Certainly we've learned a lot, and it's been an interesting experience. Maybe not one we want to repeat soon. Yeah. But thanks for sharing.
Thank you so much. So nice to be here.
Thank you so much, Jill. This has been a great discussion. I'm going to encourage everyone in our audience to tune in for this and other episodes of Positive Payments, where we invite fantastic women leaders from around the world of payments to talk about industry issues, to talk about careers, and to inspire all of us. Thanks, Jill.